A couple days ago, an executive from Ubisoft, the makers of Assassin's Creed, Prince of Persia, Rayman, Far Cry, was doing an interview about the launch of the new Ubisoft subscription services and had this to say. One of the things we saw is that gamers are used to, a little bit like DVD, having and owning their games. That's the consumer shift that needs to happen. They got comfortable not owning their CD collection or DVD collection. That's a transformation that's been a bit slower to happen in games. You don't lose what you've built in game or your engagement with the game, so it's about feeling comfortable with not owning your game. Now, this quote pissed everyone off. This was reported as Ubisoft exec says gamers need to get comfortable with not owning their games, as opposed to gamers need to get comfortable with not owning their games before subscription services can actually take off. Streaming services have come under a lot of scrutiny in the last couple of years. What was seen as the future, the way to cut your cord, a way to really embrace the digital age, has ended up really scaring a lot of consumers, especially with reports of things like people losing access to certain episodes of TV they bought on PlayStation. Another controversy with Ubisoft where they would delete your account with all of the games you bought lost forever due to inactivity. Now, eventually they walked that statement back right after they doubled down on it. And most famously, HBO Max and Warner Brothers purging series like Infinity Train, shelving movies like Batgirl, almost destroying the new Wile E. Coyote movie, which has received rave reviews since it's been screened, with directors and creators sounding the alarm that physical media is the most important way to preserve music, art, and entertainment for generations to come. And that has set new life, especially in the last few weeks, into the physical media movement, with Blu-rays of Oppenheimer selling out within a week, while at the same time, Best Buy getting ready to pull all of the physical media off of their shelf. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about owning the shows and the games and the music that we love, what we should be afraid of, what we should embrace, and where things are headed. And let's start with all of this is because of Napster. Napster, and I have to remind myself because I feel like I'm getting old because people don't know about it. Napster was a service in the late 90s that allowed people to download MP3s of your favorite song and bypass buying a CD altogether over the internet. It was the Zeitgeist P2P file sharing application. You could share MP3s of the CDs you have with other suspecting users over the internet. And with that, music piracy blew the fuck up. The records industry had a fucking fit, and people like Lars Ulrich from Metallica took a personal stake in trying to destroy Napster in order for the RIAA to take their cut. But as we know, that's not really what happened. The music industry took a punch in the gut, and piracy exploded. For years, the music industry lost so much revenue. It was consistently in the negative, with people saying, oh, it feels like the music industry is done. It feels like you're never going to be able to make money from music ever again. And over the next decade to 2 decades, the music industry had to pivot their entire business model from all physical only sales to a robust sponsorship and touring model in order to make and recoup back money. Now listen, movies and video games were also hit by this. After Napster started to kind of die down, Kazaa, Morpheus, honestly, MIRC, BitTorrent, piracy started to really ramp up as time went on, with everything being shared online, like with screeners and the like. The introduction of iTunes and the iPod really tried to make a dent in people buying music and really creating a culture of buying digital music, and that way artists could still get money from those releases. But then it didn't take long for YouTube to become the place where everybody just streamed the releases anyway without consent. And eventually the founding of Spotify, where now the premier place where most people listen to their music. Spotify numbers is how musicians trade like power levels. And those power levels come with pennies to the dollar in terms of royalties. You don't make money off of people listening to your song. You have to make money of advertising to other people. Hey, look how many listens I got on this song. You want to pay me to use it places? Honestly, one thing Spotify did do was it really did help curb a lot of music piracy, or honestly, the need for music piracy, when a lot of people could just get a Spotify subscription or use the free version. And when Netflix introduced a streaming service and that took off, all of a sudden the industry found, hey, maybe this could also work. And listen, while piracy never really died out, streaming services and honestly the digital marketplace really did start to take hold. People really did start to engage with those systems. Like I said, if you had a PlayStation or an Xbox, some people bought it just as an entertainment center, to rent movies, to buy digital games. Digital games are such a big business now, blowing up video games into the mainstream because of how available they are, how easy they are to discount in places like Steam or the PlayStation Store, and how easy it has been for people to adopt and jump into that ecosystem. Now, here's the problem. In 2024, the majority of game sales are digital, right? There are digital-only PlayStation 5s, ironically, after that's what fucking killed the Xbox One. Most modern cars don't come with a CD changer. Disk drives don't come with computers. You gotta buy them 99% of the time. And we believe that this was gonna be consistent. But as we've seen in the last year, that's not what's happened. The advent of Amazon Prime, the advent of Disney Plus, the advent of Hulu, the advent of Peacock, all of these services all jumping into the ring, paying huge amounts of money to make exclusive content that's actually really, really fucking good, but is held behind a paywall. Does this seem similar? And then they introduce ad tiers, and then they up the subscription price. And if you don't up with that subscription price, you're now in the ad tier. Okay, all of a sudden, this world of the future where you have autonomy and freedom between everything is now the same prison that we knew all along. That's music and movies. Let's talk about games and why that's significant. Games are $40 to $70 on average for a brand new game. That's substantially more money than a new Blu-ray or a Lana Del Rey album. Games are also longer. They're 40 to 60 hours at this point because they're so fucking long. After so many blows, Microsoft needed something fresh, and they came up with Xbox Game Pass on June 1st, 2017. Netflix with Xbox games. But here's the other thing. There are some third-party games that are in there. First-party Xbox games also get published to Game Pass. So if you're paying their subscription fee, you get to play Halo Infinite on day one or Gears of War 12. This service blew the fuck up. Listen, Xbox Game Pass is a legitimately amazing service. You really get access to a lot of games. They're all amazing to play. Sometimes if you want to try a game that you don't want to play $70 for, it's great to just jump in. If you want to try a game and play a game with your friends, you get to play it for that time. And honestly, when you want to buy that game, it's discounted if you're a part of their whole thing. Other companies have followed suit with middling results. And now we're at the point where Netflix and Disney Plus and Hulu were a couple of years ago. And that is legitimately scary. I don't have to tell you that as these companies start to make alliances like Activision, Blizzard, and Ubisoft, or Microsoft and EA, a lot of the things that you love can disappear or you will lose access to forever. I don't have to tell you that things that you bought may just go the way of the dodo because, hey, it's more interesting for people to be shuffled on to our other platforms. Because here's the thing, you don't own those games. You own your account, which has access to those games, but you don't own those games. You can't sell those games to anyone else. Now, I do think that's fair if it's in perpetuity. Not if you get to go,
yeah, but we're not doing that anymore.
Obviously, the digital age has some trade-offs. You don't have unlimited bandwidth forever. But this does have serious consequences, and it's led to a huge spike in physical media. While physical media is starting to be erased, Best Buy taking it off of shelves. Games like Alan Wake 2 not even making a physical edition because if they did, they'd have to up the price of the game because prices of game development are so much. So what can we do? What can we do in a world that is rapidly destroying physical media, which will help companies and hurt consumers? How do we balance this? I think the important thing, and I say this all the time, is to approach this with nuance. Streaming and the people who want to push streaming aren't necessarily all evil. There are benefits that all of us gain. Artists getting paid pennies, like a fourth of a cent for a stream, is fucking absurd and disgusting. That being said, the fact that music is just a search bar has blown up so many artists. The only shot I have at a career right now is because of Spotify. I can't act like that's not true. Spotify really did democratize a lot of music. Yes, their playlist has a lot of industry input, but here's the thing. Their algorithmic playlists break artists all the time. There are many artists I know who are living their whole life now in music because of one song on Discover Weekly. There's been a huge boom because of the streaming industry in new shows being made and creative decisions. And that is the beauty of some movie platforms. That is where gatekeepers get their teeth kicked in. More so than record stores or VHS rental shops in the early 90s. It is so easy for you to just flick on One Piece on Netflix or some movie you've never seen that somebody just tells you about and go, oh my God, that's fucking dope. There are legitimate gains here. But the fact of the matter is the reason television died was because people didn't have a choice. People didn't have a choice of what TV shows they got to watch again. People didn't have a choice or autonomy of when they could watch or when they could engage with their favorite things. Netflix and these streaming services gave you that choice. Then they locked it behind a paywall, and that's the problem. Digital marketplaces are great. If I know of a consistent digital marketplace and I can buy all my movies and show somebody my collection, that's fucking amazing. But I don't trust them. Because between Vudu and Roku and Boo Boo and I don't know who the fuck comes up with these names. I'm scared of losing all of it. I bought Avengers Endgame on digital and was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna start buying digital movies on Amazon. That's gonna be my thing. And then I found out that the quality is completely hamstrung for no fucking reason on that platform. And then a couple weeks later, Disney released it on Disney Plus with extras. Why the fuck did I do that? There are benefits that all of us gain from streaming games and content. Listen, not all of us have $60 to spend on games like that. A lot of people are in bad situations, but are part of that community, and they get to still be a part of that community with like 13 bucks. And indie developers have a second shot at life, not playing the lottery. But I think a couple things need to be put in place. One, you should own a digital ticket of that game you bought. I'm telling you, I do not want to buy any more versions of Sonic the Hedgehog 1. I have bought Sonic the Hedgehog 1 a million fucking times. I bought it more than Resident Evil 4. Stop, guys! And if we create incentives with that digital media, specifically for films and music, that can actually be really helpful. But it means easing up on the paywall and stop gouging people with money for growth. And the other part of that is, I don't think physical media should be evaporated just yet. Listen, vinyl has saved a lot of musicians and really helped them build up so much. Vinyl is a beautifully thriving part of the music experience. And it kind of sucks that CDs are kind of dead. If the Blu-ray and DVD experience go the way of the dodo, then all we are going to have is digital. And right now, it's very clear that the people in charge of that want to try to find a way to grow the most in an economy with high inflation and uncertainty in its model. So I do think that if you're somebody who loves movies or music or anything, you should invest in physical media because it is going to help you in the long run. It is something that you can form an attachment to. I find CDs that I used to have all the time, and I struggle to throw them away because I have a memory with them. And until we get to that point where people do own the things they buy online and it's not some fucking NFT scam, I think that it's really, really important that we can hold and touch and feel the art that we fell in love with before they take it away from us. That's my show for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Got Freestyle the News or Last Week's Set Talks, and I'll see you here soon. Let's go!